So let's do this together. The question says that the value of sine 150 minus 5 cos 300 plus 7 tan 225 all over tan 135 plus 3 sine 210 equals what? Now, to solve this problem, all you need to do, to solve this problem without using calculator, all you need to do is to simplify the angles to suit the angles in the first quadrant, that is, the angles between 0 and 90. Now, I would like us to consider this particular chart representing the quadrants that exist. Now, we have the first quadrant with the angles between 0 and 90. The second quadrant with the angles between 90 and 180. The third quadrant with the angle between 180 and 270. And the fourth quadrant, that's the angles between 270 and 360. Now, looking at this, you can see we have A, C, T, X. Now, as an acronym, you can actually use that to remember the sign of the trigonometric ratios for each quadrant. All simply means all the trigonometric ratios, sine, cos, tan, are positive. In the second quadrant, S means it is only sine that is positive. The third quadrant, we have T, it means it's only tan that is positive. While the fourth quadrant, we have C, which means it is only cos that is what? Positive. Now let us go back to the question. Now, how can we simplify 50 degrees to an angle between 0 and 90, which is the angle found in the first quadrant. Now, if you look at 150, you would agree with me that 150 is an angle between 90 and 180. That means this 150 falls in the second quadrant. Now, to simplify this 150 to an angle that is found in first quadrant, so as to solve the problem without using calculator, we need to use this formula, which is 180 minus theta, where your theta is 150 in this case. So if you subtract 150 from 180, what do you get? We get 30. And if you look at this second quadrant, sine is positive, which means sine 150 is equivalent to sine, that is positive sine 30. Now, looking at the second one, which is cos 300. Yes, cos 300. Now, looking at 300, you will notice that 300 falls between 270 and 360, which means it lies in the fourth quadrant. On that note, for you to get the equivalent expression for cos 300 with the angle that falls in the first quadrant, you need to use this formula, which is 360 minus theta, where your theta is 300 in this case. So we have 360 minus 300, that is 60. But then, looking at the fourth quadrant, cos is positive. Definitely, the cos in the initial expression will maintain its sign, which is positive. On that note, we have minus 5. Since we have minus initially in the question, we have minus 5 cos 60. I believe you understand what I'm doing. Now, let's go to the next one, which is tan 225. Looking at 225, you would agree with me that 225 falls within the angle 180 and 270, which means it lies in the third quadrant. Now, looking at the third quadrant, you will definitely agree with me that tan is positive. Yes, since tan is positive, the sign initially in the question, which is plus, will maintain its position. On that note, for us to get the equivalent value of 225, which is a value found, the equivalent value in the first quadrant, which relates to tan 225, we need to make use of the formula theta minus 180. What is theta in this case? Theta is 225. Now subtract 180 from 225, you are going to get 45. On that note, tan 225 is equivalent to tan 45. What about the denominator? We have tan 135. Remember, our goal is to solve this problem without using calculator, which means we need to reduce these angles to an angle that falls between the first quadrant. Now, looking at 135, you agree with me that it lies in the second quadrant, because 135 lies between 90 and what? 180. On that note, to simplify 135 to an angle in the first quadrant, we need to subtract 135, which is the theta here, from 180, and that gives us what? 45. But then, Looking at tan in the second quadrant, tan is negative. Now, since tan is negative, tan 135 is equivalent to negative tan 45. Now, let's go to the last one here, which is sine 210. Now, 210 lies within the angle 180 and 270, which means 210 lies in the third quadrant. Now, to simplify 210 to an angle that lies, or that actually lies in the first quadrant, we need to use this formula for calculating the angle found in the third quadrant. That is theta minus 180. Now, what is our theta here? We have 210. So, subtracting 180 from 210, you get what? You get 30. But then, looking at the third quadrant critically, sine is negative. Now, since sine is negative, the negative sign must follow the sign. So, we have 3 parentheses. Since we are dealing with sine 210, that will be minus sine 30. So, since we have actually simplified the higher angles into an angle in first quadrant, let us use our fingers to solve this problem without using calculator. Now, what is sine 30? Sine 30 can be considered using the formula square root of fingers below over 2. Now, this is your 30 degrees. The ring finger is your 30 degrees. Put it close to yourself. Then, how many fingers do you have below it? We have just the index finger, which is 1. On that note, that is square root of 1 over 2. And square root of 1 is what? 1. So we have 1 over 2. What about cos 60? Cos 60, this is your 60 degrees. 60 degrees is your index finger. Now, what is the formula for cos? The formula for cos is the square root of fingers above all over 2. Now, if you put the index finger to yourself, how many fingers do you have above it? That is your thumb. So that means we have square root of 1 over 2. And that is 1 over 2. What about tan 45? Tan can be calculated using the square root of fingers below over square root of fingers above. On that note, if you bend your middle finger, which is 45, to yourself, how many fingers do you have below it? You have just 2. That is your little finger and your ring finger. What about the ones you have above? That is your index finger and the thumb. On that note, we have square root of 2 over 2, which will give you what? 1. What about minus tan 45? That also give you minus 1 in this case. Now, the next one is sine 30. That's minus sine 30. That is what? Minus 1 over 2. So, having simplified this into their respective values using our fingers, let us solve further. So, we have 1 over 2 minus 5 over 2 plus 7 over minus 1 plus parenthesis minus 3 over 2. Simplifying this further using the conventional way of solving addition and subtraction of fractions, we are going to have 1 minus 5 plus 14 over 2 divided by minus 2 minus 3 over 2. Now, solving out the numerator, we have 10 over 2 divided by, solving out the other part, we have that is minus 5 over 2. Now, replacing the division sign with multiplication sign, we are going to have the reciprocal of these. On that note, we are going to have 10 over 2 times 2 over minus 5. Now, 2 cancels 2, we are going to have minus 10 over 5. Now, dividing minus 10 by 5, we have 2, which means the requirement which we are asked to solve earlier is equals to minus 2. Don't forget, I still remain your tutor, Prince Obajiwo Daniel De Nicole, also known as the Mathaholic Arithmetic Chemobiologist.